Having said goodbye to our wonderful guide Vladimir at the Honey Bridge, see the previous video, we decided, as the saying goes, to kill two birds with one stone, since it was right nearby, and also took a stroll through the fish village, another landmark of Kaliningrad. Hello, dear friends. Yes, we are still in Kaliningrad, a city with an extraordinary history and a special, almost mystical aura. Everything here is unusual. The Baltic wind ceaselessly whispers legends of knights and amber kings in your ear, while the spirit of old Königsberg lingers in the shadows of modern avenues. However, as obvious as it may seem, the fish village has no connection to the ancient, historical Königsberg. Because it was built in our own time. The first phase of the project was completed in 2010, and only in 2022 did the completion of construction give the complex its final appearance. The fish village is located on Oktyabrsky Island, historically known as Lomse Island, in the Moskovsky district of Kaliningrad on Oktyabrskaya Street. It is a thematic corridor created as a tourist zone. The buildings of the fish village, designed in the old German half-timbered thatchwork style, imitate the appearance of pre-war Königsberg. In reality, it is a modern complex with hotels, restaurants, offices, and residential apartments, situated on the landscaped embankment of the Pregolya River. It is not a restoration of historical buildings, but a stylization of antiquity. When creating the fish village, the architects took a creative approach to history. They borrowed the name from the actual Fish Market of Königsberg, which, however, was located in a completely different place, on the opposite bank of the Pregolya. The actual past of this territory is that of firewood warehouses, which existed here from the 15th century onwards, and a bit later, the ox market, a cattle market that was here until approximately the 18th century. So, the popular tourist quarter, the fish village, is more of a poetic metaphor than an accurate recreation of any specific historical object. In the last video, friends, I told you about a wonderful custom tour from the talented guide, Vladimir. Well, he recommended another Kaliningrad tour to us, from his colleague and student, Stepan. We, of course, did not miss the chance to take his advice. And it was awesome. Stepan took us through 3 historical districts of Königsberg, Hofen, Luisenwahl, and Amalienau. He spoke very interestingly, vividly, with humor, and easily. We met Stepan in the Hofen district, in the heart of pre-war Königsberg, a wealthy area where affluent Königsbergers lived at the beginning of the 20th century. The tour began near the building of the Königsberg Regional and Administrative Courts, which currently houses the main building of KSTU, the Kaliningrad State Technical University. In front of the building, there is an interesting sculptural composition, The Fighting Bisons, by the German sculptor August Gall, installed as early as 1912. Interestingly, city residents in everyday speech often call this sculpture the prosecutor and the defender, as the bisons were installed right in front of the courthouse. And this majestic building was constructed in 1916 and served, believe it or not, as the Supreme Postal Directorate of East Prussia. Currently, it houses the headquarters of the Baltic Fleet. Right in front of the headquarters building proudly stands a monument to the founder of the regular Russian Navy, Peter the Great. It was erected in 2003 on the eve of Navy Day, as part of the celebration of the 300th anniversary of the Baltic Fleet. Stepan also introduced us to a pyramidal pedunculate oak tree growing in the square near the headquarters, next to the monument to Peter the Great. Interestingly, the tree is over 300 years old. The oak is listed in the Regional Register of Ancient Trees Monuments of Nature and is under special protection. It remains a mystery why a bronze monument dedicated to Friedrich Schiller, a German poet, philosopher, and playwright who never visited the city, was erected in Königsberg. Even the beautiful square where the monument is located was named after the great poet. According to one version, the unveiling of the monument was timed to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the Königsberg City Theatre, which opened in 1810 with a production of Schiller's William Tell. The monument to the poet was created in 1910 by the German sculptor Stanislaus Kauer, a professor of sculpture at the Königsberg Academy of Arts. Friedrich Schiller looks directly at the Kaliningrad Regional Drama Theatre, located on the opposite side of Theatre Square.
Или ему строго запретили наливать после выздоровления. Такое даже потом несколько раз случалось, что бедное животное чувствовало до боли знакомый запах от посетителей, очень явно просил ему тоже налить, пока персонал смотрит в другом направлении.
The Moscow Hotel. In Soviet times, it was in demand among high-ranking party officials and popular artists visiting Kaliningrad. But originally, it was the building of the North Star Insurance Company, constructed in Königsberg on Hufinale, in modern coordinates, Mira Avenue in 1936 in the Bauhaus style. And this is an old German fire hydrant, for which Kaliningrad is famous. There are 62 of them in the city, and most are in working order. Each one is unique in its own way. Kaliningrad residents love, take pride in, and care for their hydrants. And, of course, I must note Stepan's wonderful humor, which, like a whole scattering of cherries on a cake, greatly embellished his narrative. For example, there was this episode when Stepan told us that by the decision of the first secretary of the Kaliningrad Regional Committee of the Communist Party, a decree was issued stating that buildings of warlike and gloomy Prussian architecture
Должна прийти легкая жизнерадостность форм и приветливость облика. Конец цитаты.
Let's continue along Mira Avenue, past the impressive monument with the romantic name, Monument to the Conquerors of Near Space, into the Central Park, which was formerly called Luisenwahl, in honor of the Queen of Prussia, Louise. We walk past a church built in 1901, also in memory of the Queen of Prussia. Currently, the building houses the regional puppet theater. This church can also be considered a kind of gateway to the Amalienau district. And here we are in the historical district of Kaliningrad, Amalienau, with its well-preserved luxurious villas and mansions from the early 20th century. Local residents call Amalienau the soul of Old Königsberg. Originally, the Amalienau district was a small village called Hinterhofen, which translates from German as hind leg. Around 1820, a local political figure, Gustav Schnell, bought the lands around Hinterhofen and built a large estate, naming it Amalienau in honor of his wife Amalie Schnell. In 1898, the architect Friedrich Heitmann, together with his partner Joseph Kretschmann, purchased this land for the construction of wealthy villas amidst nature. Their motto was, "Work in the city, live in the countryside." The district was conceived as a garden city, featuring low-rise development with well-appointed villas, an abundance of trees, flowers, and shrubs, and numerous avenues, circular squares, and winding streets. Each house and villa was built according to an individual design and, even at the beginning of the 20th century, had all modern conveniences: electricity, gas, running water, and sewerage. During the war, Amalienau miraculously survived, preserving the appearance of a garden city and the ancient luxury of its architecture in its original form. The lower pond was created in 1256 in the capital of East Prussia, the city of Königsberg. It was formed when the Teutonic Knights from the nearby royal castle of Königsberg dammed a tributary of the Pregolya River with an earthen embankment. The pond's water was used to fill the castle's moats. A watermill was also built on the pond, which is why it was originally called the Mill Pond. But it went down in history as the Castle Pond. It was also called the Royal Pond. After World War II, when the city of Königsberg and the surrounding territories, according to the Potsdam Agreement of 1945, became part of Russia, forming the Kaliningrad Oblast. The pond was renamed from Castle Pond to Lower Pond, presumably in relation to the upper pond, from which it draws its water. The lower pond, along with the upper pond, is the oldest man-made structure in Kaliningrad that has survived to this day.
Спасибо, друзья.
Thank you, friends, for watching, liking, commenting, and, why not, subscribing to the channel, Pictures from the Hinterlands. Peace and love to you.
Любви вам и мира.